A little bit?
Mm-hmm.
So, okay. Quiet on set. Coming up on State of Events, a shooting near SF State's campus last night has students outraged that they had to find out via Twitter.
In San Francisco, police released new information on the death of public defender Jeff Adachi. State of Events starts now.
Welcome to State of Events. I'm Zach Priest.
Now I'm Ashley Loesa. It's our first show this semester, and we're excited you're here with us. Let's get down to some breaking news. Yesterday evening, San Francisco police responded to a reported shooting in a house on Serrano Drive, right next to San Francisco State's campus. Officers arrived on the scene and found a woman in her 20s with a gunshot wound on her upper torso. The victim was taken to the hospital, and officials say it is not a life-threatening injury. The male suspect, also in his 20s, knew the victim and fled the scene. The university released a statement 3 hours after the incident. Meanwhile, students took to Twitter their frustration over a possible shooter close to campus. The lack of alerts left students concerned. Should SF State have alerted students right away, even though the incident did not happen on campus? Tweet us your thoughts at State of Events.
Weather update: high tides at Ocean Beach have caused a halt to a search for a woman who is trapped under dirt at Fort Funston. 2 women were walking their dogs this weekend when a landslide happened and flushed them down to Ocean Beach. The dirt followed and buried both of the women immediately. One made it out shortly after the landslide, but the search for the second woman continued through the weekend, until Monday, when high tides at Ocean Beach caused the search to stop temporarily. The San Francisco Fire Department says they will begin searching again as soon as the tides go down. The fire department also said that these landslides occur often and to be careful anytime you are out for a walk at Fort Funston.
Police are continuing their investigation of the sudden death of San Francisco's public defender, Jeff Adachi. Adachi died on Friday after having dinner with a woman in North Beach. The woman, identified as Katerina, said she had dinner with Adachi, where he complained of stomach pain. The two headed to an apartment on Telegraph Place near Quaid Tower, where Katerina called 911 after reports say he had a medical emergency. Adachi was rushed to California Pacific Medical Center, where he was pronounced dead. Police photos showed the apartment containing empty bottles of alcohol, cannabis, gummies, and syringes that may have been left by paramedics. The San Francisco Police Department says that the cause of death is yet to be determined and that there are no signs of foul play.
San Mateo County joins other Bay Area counties in a lawsuit against opioid manufacturers for starting the nation's drug epidemic. San Mateo County joins San Francisco, Contra Costa, and Marin counties in their suit. San Mateo County complaint alleges that the creators of oxycodone, Oxycontin, and fentanyl misled doctors and patients about the addictiveness of the drugs. The suit alleges that opioid epidemic costs the country millions in drug treatment, emergency room visits, law enforcement, and social services. Last year, 26 county residents died from causes linked to opioids. A Simi Valley man named Craig Cooley reached a $21 million settlement after being falsely convicted of a crime and spending almost 40 years in prison. Cooley was released back in 2017 after prosecutors took another look at his case. They applied new groundbreaking DNA testing, which proved that Cooley was in fact not the culprit. He was soon pardoned by Governor Jerry Brown and awaited trial for his settlement money. Now 71, Cooley settled for $21 million this week and says he plans to spend the money while being with his family. Law enforcement says they are continuing to look at old cases that occurred before DNA testing and plan to bring more people to justice.
The California Republican Party made history after electing its first female as the new state party chair. Political consultant Jessica Patterson, a Latina, was elected with nearly 55% of the vote on Sunday's state party convention held in Sacramento. Patterson defeated former Assemblyman Travis Allen and longtime party member Stephen Frank in a close race. In her acceptance speech, Patterson said her main goal is to beat Democrats. Patterson's task as head will be to overcome setbacks in last year's midterm elections, such as declining registration numbers, election losses, low minority votes, and the state's disapproval of the president.
Northern California utility company PG&E cancels $130 million in employee bonuses due to bankruptcy filing. Workers received an email stating that the California wildfires and the company's financial state as reasons for the decision. The company previously said it would not award executive bonuses this year, but the new cancellations affect payments that were part of a short-term incentive plan. The employee bonuses were for 2018's performance and were set to be announced next month. Around 14,000 employees were eligible.
Next on State of Events. Traveling abroad can be an experience of a lifetime, but what happens when it ends?
And watch out, Apple. There's a new phone in town. Find out how much this smartphone costs after the break. Stay tuned. I turned off during the. I turned off during the break.
It's okay.
Okay.
Take your mic and put it on this side. So you shouldn't have it covered up with your shirt.
Did it cut out in the middle of the segment?
Yeah, right there. So it's a little bit close. We're gonna have to project a little bit more because we're doing it off of her mic.
30 seconds.
Huh? No, I know my mic's not working. Like not at all, or it just keeps cutting.
Not your mic at all. The mic is bad.
Looking at camera one.
Yes.
Okay.
Over here. I can hear your echo in the studio, so like your voice is getting recorded, I'm pretty sure. Just speak up a little bit more, I guess.
Yeah.
Seconds.
Welcome back to State of Events. President Donald Trump announced that he will participate in a signing negotiation with Chinese leader Xi Jinping as part of a trade deal. Trump wrote in a tweet that he would delay an increased tax on Chinese goods set to take effect at 12:01 a.m. on Saturday. The president cited substantial progress on top priority issue for the administration tied to intellectual property and technology transfers. The Trump administration had plans of increasing tax on $200 billion of Chinese products from 10% to 25% if they were unable to make a deal. Chinese trade negotiators say that the two countries have achieved substantial progress on specific issues. Today, President Trump is in Vietnam with North Korean leader Kim Jong-un on the first of their two-day nuclear summit.
Welcome back to State of Events. Well, you're going to want to purchase this item before the China tax goes into effect. There's a new smartphone on the market, and it costs a pretty penny. Chinese technology brand Huawei announced their new foldable smartphone this month. The phone is priced at $2,600 and has a 6-inch screen that can fold into a phone and fit in your pocket. The phone is called the Mate X and is already up for sale in China. The company announced that they will be available for sale in the US soon. When asked if there would be a more affordable version of the phone, the CEO of Huawei said that there would be many phones on the way, from them ranging from a number of different price ranges.
Apple will be replacing the plastic cards this year, not on the iPhone, but with credit cards. Goldman Sachs has teamed up with Apple to create the first Apple credit card that will debut later this year. Apple says that the card will work in unison with your Apple Wallet and will include features such as setting financial and spending goals, track your rewards, and manage your balance. All of these features will be accessible through your iPhone. Employees at Apple have access to first cards for testing and will be unveiled to the public later this year.
YouTube has been receiving some major backlash this week after ads seen on anti-vaccination videos. They announced that they will be removing ads from anti-vax videos on their platform. Representatives from the website stated that these videos violate their policy and are considered harmful and dangerous. According to YouTube's policy, videos that violate any guidelines will not be monetized, which means no ads will be placed on the video. This statement comes after BuzzFeed reported that some ads had slipped through their automated program and been seen on anti-vax videos. YouTube says they are working on the problem with their system and hope to have it fixed soon.
And more with the latest tech news, Karen Alarcon is in the studio with the Business Roundup. Karen?
Thank you, Ashley and Zach. The software giant Microsoft teams up with Albertsons, the second largest grocery chain. Here's the latest tech news on the world's top companies. Microsoft is teaming up with Albertsons. This partnership will transform the customer experience digitally using technology and artificial intelligence to eliminate wait times and help employees track inventory, as well as eliminating friction among customers. It's currently being used in 27 stores and plans to expand this year. Another duo collabs. Two giants in the automobile sector, BMW and Daimler, are collaborating. The companies announced on Friday, February 22nd, 2019, that their intentions are to spend $1.13 billion on the venture. Their collaboration will be divided into 5 separate companies: Reach Now for multimodal services, Charge Now for EV charging, Free Now for tax ride hailing, Park Now for parking, and Share Now for car sharing. Other global auto companies that join forces include Volkswagen and Ford, with intentions to build trucks and vans together on the side. Daimler plans to launch a robot taxi service with auto tech supplier Bosch in San Jose, California. Nike's Adapt BBB went on sale this past weekend, and users reported issues immediately. Some reported that either the left or right sneakers failed to pair after attempting to update them through the company Android app. Others say that the update caused the motor to stop working, and even though the physical buttons don't work, a Nike spokesperson told The Verge that the hard reset would do the trick, which involves pressing down the sneaker's 2 buttons. iOS users haven't had any issues yet. That concludes the tech roundup for this week. For more updates, check out our website at stateofevents.net. I'm Karen Alarcon. Back to you two at the desk.
Thank you, Karen. Speaking of car sharing businesses, parking at San Francisco State is a challenge for students. The on-campus garages are costly and typically full. Alexandria Hernandez has more on the story.
It's very challenging to find parking, so I usually end up parking like a mile away from here.
Parking is hard to find here at San Francisco State. For those students who rely on the parking garage here at school, it can get expensive.
It was getting really expensive to park on campus, so there were a few times that it's like, no, I have to take the bus, or this is causing financial hardship. So, yeah, I'm glad I got the pass, but I do feel like $8 is a little high.
Daily parking passes are $5 for 1 to 2 hours and $8 for 2+ hours.
The two main parking issues I hear from students are the lack of parking and what parking is available being very expensive. So there is a couple of places around campus that are free for 4 hours, but some people try to stack all their classes in one day. So when you're here for 8+ hours, you have to either keep moving your car around trying to find free parking, and there isn't a lot, or you do have to pay a lot of money, and I know that is a financial issue.
Parking permits for the semester range in price. Weekly parking permits for commuter students cost a hefty $640 per semester. Faculty and staff permits vary depending on which parking lot they select. Reporting for State of Events in San Francisco, I'm Alexandria Hernandez.
For those of you having a hard time adapting back to your home soil after being abroad, you're not alone. Lisa Lieberniak spoke with a few people about the struggles you encounter and received some helpful advice from a psychotherapist.
I'm Lisa Lieberniak with State of Events, and I've gained insight on the struggles people deal with after traveling abroad.
Going overseas for a period of time, you come back sort of a celebrity. Friends and family are excited to see you, but getting back into the groove of things may not be that easy.
So the first 2 weeks is like amazing, and then after that, everything settles down and everyone goes back to their life. And then you're wondering, so how am I a part of their life? How am I part of this puzzle? And you try to go back and build these relationships again.
So you still have to start from square one again. You have to find a job, you need to find housing, and then school starting right away. I think it's hard because you're abroad and you're like, you can define yourself however you want, but then you can come back here and people already know you for certain things. So it's hard to kind of like change your mindset and change people's mindsets about how they perceive you.
And it's not like you just, went home for the weekend and you're back at school. It's, you were in a whole new environment and a whole new culture and a whole new language, a whole new everything. And you're coming back and you're having to make your life over again.
On the other hand, going abroad has helped people come to terms with what they want to do in the future.
It just assured me that the things that I was doing, the things I was focusing on, were the things I wanted to continue to do when I got back.
If you are struggling with post-travel blues, therapist Katie Butler says be gentle with yourself and recognize that it is hard.
I'm just ready to take all that it's given me and apply it somewhere new.
Lisa Lieberniak, State of Events.
And if you really want to go back to traveling abroad, this company may have your solution. The popular fashion company Gucci is trying to make amends with their consumers after facing major backlash from releasing a sweater that mimicked blackfacing. Gucci unveiled their new spring line this last week, which included a sweater that pulled up over your mouth, only to reveal the infamous blackface. Gucci quickly released an apology and proceeded to take the items out of storefronts, as well as online. In their apology, they announced 4 incentives in a long-term plan to embed cultural diversity in the brand. A few of the incentives include a design scholarship offered at fashion schools around the world, a diversity and inclusivity awareness program, and a global exchange program.
Coming up after the break, I bet you didn't know the Bay Area is home to many famous Oscar winners. Samuel Chua is in the studio to fill you in if you missed this weekend's award show.
And SFSU sports had a busy weekend. Our sports reporter will dive into the action after the break.
Welcome back and thanks for tuning in. This past weekend had many buzzing about the Oscars, from Best Dress to intimate performances and local Bay Area winners.
In case you missed it, Samuel Chua is in the studio to give us the scoop. Samuel?
Still picture. Lion King fans are in for a treat. Disney dropped the first full-length trailer of the highly anticipated live-action adaptation film during Sunday night's Oscars. The new footage did not reveal much about the upcoming film, but it began with a very familiar scene set to the chant from The Circle of Life as the sun rises and Rafiki leaves Simba over the kingdom. James Earl Jones will reprise his role as Mufasa from the original film, along with Donald Glover as Simba, Beyonce as Nala, and Chiwetel Ejiofor as Scar. The movie hits theaters July 19th. Speaking of the Oscars, Hollywood's biggest night was the memorable one at the Dolby Theatre. The 91st Academy Awards had no hosts, many firsts, and a few surprises, especially the award for Best Picture. 3 out of 4 top acting awards were won by people of color. Rami Malek won first as Best Actor, the first actor of Arab descent to win Best Actor, paired with Regina King winning Best Supporting Actress If Beale Street Could Talk, and Oakland native Mahershala Ali winning Best Supporting Actor.
They encouraged me to do whatever I wanted to do when I was a kid, whether it was writing music, which was a mystery to them, or making films in their garage in Normington Way in San Jose, California.
Also picking up an Oscar for Best Feature-Length Documentary was Free Solo, a film about mountain climbing. Samuel Crossley, a San Francisco State alumni, served as cinematographer on the film. Black Panther also scored big as Ruth E. Carter and Hannah Beachler won Oscars for costume design and production design, respectively, becoming the first African-American women to win in those categories. Another member... Another memorable moment came from a passionate performance by Lady Gaga and Bradley Cooper as they performed Best Original Song winner Shallow from A Star Is Born. But the night did not end without the biggest award of the night, Best Picture, which was awarded to Green Book over the much-favored Roma. In all, the event was such a huge success and diversity was one of the biggest winners at the Oscars. In the studio, I'm Sammy Chua, back to you guys at the desk.
Coming back to the Bay, San Francisco's Balboa Park Public School reopens after $11 million renovation. The pool is part of Balboa Park, a 21-acre park off Interstate Highway 280 near Ocean Avenue. A new community room, mechanical and plumbing systems, movable pool divider, and pedestrian safety and accessibility are some of the improvements included in the 2.5-year renovation. Funding for the pool was provided by the 2012 Clean Safe Parks Bond, California Department of Housing and Community Development. The Balboa Park Pool is one of 9 public swimming pools in San Francisco.
Swimming in a pool is overrated. This weekend, San Franciscans took an even greater plunge into the SF Bay. Alexis Gonzalez tells us more about why people were brave enough to jump into the freezing cold waters of San Francisco.
It was really cold that year. It was so windy, and I was like, oh, we're gonna die!
It's always nice to help out, especially when it's for a certain cause. I think it's awesome. I mean, you see these guys out here with no wetsuits, and the water is pretty chilly, but it's great that they get a chance to go out there and check it out.
More than 300 people came out to an event called Dash and Splash to run a 5K in support of the Special Olympics.
Some came out to show off their costumes. Others came out to run a 5K and participate in the polar plunge that is jumping into the icy cold waters of San Francisco. All in all, everyone came to support the Northern California Special Olympics. United Airlines and the San Francisco Police Department joined forces with the Special Olympics to raise money for athletes, inclusive school programs, and vital health screens.
We estimate that we're going to generate about $200,000 off the event, and so it allows us to provide training and competition opportunities in 14 different sports.
All participants were invited to partake in the pre-splash bash, featuring breakfast burritos, wine, and beer before moving on to the costume contest, which the nuns of Perpetual Indulgence were excited to judge.
Why not to just give it to one? It's way more fun for 20 people jumping up and down than just one.
Chris explained why he decided to join the event.
Kind of like being outdoors, and I was like, hey, perfect. I'll do a 5K and then jump in this cold water.
Dash and Splash is not exclusive to California.
Special Olympics has a lot of events nationwide. I know from my experience living in Arizona.
There will be a total of 15 polar plunges this year. Interested in taking a dip for a cost? Join South Lake Tahoe on March 30th.
It's a 3-day party, basically.
Reporting for State of Events in San Francisco, I'm Alexis Gonzalez.
Thanks, Alexis. What a workout. Let's send it over to Nicole with the sports report on all things Gator.
It was a busy week for sports, so let's get right down to it. Your San Francisco Gators had an event-filled weekend. Men's basketball took on Cal State San Marcos on Thursday, where they clinched a playoff berth for the 5th season straight. They were up in the first half and stayed alive, scoring 50 points in the second half. This guy right here, Jace Wycliffe, had a career high with 30. Final score 87-60. Men's basketball welcomed UC San Diego on Saturday for senior night. They couldn't rally back and took a loss. Final score 87-65. Women's basketball was also in the mix. They took on Cal State San Marcos Thursday and fell short 75-62. Saturday, women's basketball also celebrated senior night and couldn't pull it together against UC San Diego, losing with a final score 77-55. Now, over to the Swamp, which was literally a swamp this weekend. Men's baseball had to postpone their game Friday, doubleheader Saturday, and had to go to Chico on Sunday to finish the series. The outfield of Maloney Field was unplayable this weekend, sending them to go play at Nettleton Stadium. They took both games Sunday, score 5-4 and 10-9. Women's softball had a great weekend after switching schedules and ended up playing at the home turf. They swept the 3-game series. Men's basketball finishes their last 2 games of the season this week before heading off to playoffs. Women's basketball will finish their last 2 games of the season. Men's baseball is heading to Cal State San Marcos for a 4-game series, and women's softball will be heading to Cal State San Marcos as well. That's it for your Chomp City Sports.
Wow. So how's the SF State baseball team up with all those being canceled?
Well, their score right now is 5-1. Unfortunately, they've had to postpone 5 of their games, and they had to cancel one due to the weather conditions here at San Francisco State.
Geez, well, let's hope they climb back up in those standings.
Oh, well, thank you for tuning in to State of Events. To get even more updates, follow us on our social media. We want to hear from you. In Studio One, I'm Ashley Loessa.
And I'm Zach Priest with Nicole Gitsky. And we'll see you next week, Gators.